What is up, guys? It is me, Leafendagust, and today we're going to be looking at and predicting every matchup in the 2023 Super Wild Card Weekend. Please be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and without further ado, let's get into the video. Alrighty, so here's the bracket we're currently looking at. For the AFC this week, we got the LA Chargers at the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Baltimore Ravens at the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Miami Dolphins at the Buffalo Bills. And then for the NFC, we have the Dallas Cowboys at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, New York Giants at the Minnesota Vikings, and the Seattle Seahawks at the San Francisco 49ers, with the Kansas City Chiefs on bye for the AFC and the Philadelphia Eagles on bye for the NFC. Anyways, let's get into the first game we have on the docket. There are going to be 6 games, as I just showed. The first 2 are going to be on Saturday, the next 3 are going to be on Sunday, and then the final game will be on Monday. So anyways, first game here, we have the number 7 Seattle Seahawks at the number 2 San Francisco 49ers. Honestly, the Seahawks barely squeaked into the playoffs. They needed a win in Week 18 and a Green Bay Packers loss to the Detroit Lions. And they got both of those things. They beat the Rams in overtime, and the Lions ended the Packers' postseason hopes. But honestly, you can see after starting off the year fairly decently at like 6-3, I believe, they've been in a bit of a rough patch recently. They've lost, I believe that's 5 of their last 8, and I mean, their offense is really going to need to have things together in order to beat this 49ers team, who is basically the exact opposite story. They have won 10 games in a row, 10 of 11 after acquiring their new offensive weapon, Christian McCaffrey, and they look like a massive force to be reckoned with. And honestly, I think they're probably going to win the Super Bowl, based on how they look right now. They did have, if you're the Seahawks, though, there is a bit of hope because they did have an odd game against the Raiders where it went into overtime and it was really close for some reason, which is interesting, but they did end up getting the win, so their streak stayed alive. I think that the 49ers offense is going to be able to put up points against a not great Seattle defense, and they're going to be able to get the win here in the divisional matchup, 26-17. Next game we have is the number 5 Los Angeles Chargers at the number 4 Jacksonville Jaguars. The Chargers-Jaguars game is a rematch of the Week 3 battle between the two teams, where the Jaguars just absolutely dismantled the LA Chargers 38-10. Although these two teams are basically just completely different teams since that point. In that game, the Chargers were suffering from a lot of injuries, including a big injury to their star quarterback, Justin Herbert, that really completely crashed their offense, and their defense also had sustained injuries to a few key players. And this Jaguars team, after winning that game, they went on a long losing streak. They dropped their next 5 games, including a game to the Texans, and it looked rough. They looked down and out. The Titans were running away with the division, but they won their last 5 games, including a win and in game in Week 16 against the Titans that I named earlier, and they won 2 games against the Titans in that winning streak, actually, and they also beat the Cowboys and the Jets, which are 2 pretty good teams. And meanwhile, the Chargers have just sustained huge injuries to many offensive and defensive weapons throughout the year, although their weapons are starting to get healthy, and they were able to win 4 games to finish off the season. This last game against the Broncos, however, was a loss. It was a game that did not really have any postseason implications, but they decided to play their starters, which is where the injury bug struck again. Star wide receiver Mike Williams was just ruled out for Saturday's game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. and that is a huge blow to this Justin Herbert-led Chargers offense. Kim and Keenan Allen were the two main deep threats, and missing this big guy who is sometimes makes miraculous plays down the field is really, really going to hamper their ability to get points on the board. Yeah. So honestly, I have the Jags winning this game in a shootout because, well, I mean, this is going to be a really good offensive game. We've got Justin Herbert versus why am I blanking on his name? Trevor Lawrence, and yeah, it should be a great matchup. And it would just make perfect sense to me if the Chargers lost this game on a failed 2-point conversion attempt at the buzzer. That would just be, what is it? Bittersweet irony. Anyways, the next game we have the first Sunday game with the number 7 Miami Dolphins heading to Buffalo to take on the 13-3 number 2 Buffalo Bills. They only played 16 games this season because of an injury that ended a game and ended up basically canceling a game. As you'll see in these next schedules, the Week 17 matchup at the Bengals was canceled because Damar Hamlin, a Bills safety, collapsed on the field, had to get CPR, and was rushed to a hospital. Thankfully, from what I've heard recently, he's doing all right and recovering. So yeah, just keep him in your hearts as you watch the Bills play on Sunday against their division rival, the Miami Dolphins. Who, oh boy, the Dolphins. Yeah, so they started off the season, and even midway through the season, we're looking like an absolute force to be reckoned with. Incredible offense that really just could not be stopped by anyone. Their star quarterback at one point suffered a concussion and was out for a few games. And actually, I believe that happened multiple times. But they were able to come back, win 5 games, still look really strong, and then recently they have just flatlined. Losing 5 of their last 6 games of the season. Their only win was their win to get into the playoffs against the New York Jets in a game that, God, if you watch that game, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You may be entitled to financial compensation from the National Football League. Please call the number on your screen. Wait, those are letters. Anyways, yeah, man, I really don't know. But again, this is a divisional game, and the Dolphins and Bills have played twice this year. The Dolphins won the first matchup actually, and then lost the second one. Both of those games were really close though, so I expect this one to actually be really close. I don't believe Tua is going to play, but if he does, it'll make a huge difference. I don't believe the starter for their game on Sunday against the Bills is confirmed right now, but I think it should honestly be a pretty close game. Unless the Bills just run away with it and decimate the Dolphins, I think that this will be a competitive game. But I do think the Buffalo Bills will get the win and have a large lead. And although the Dolphins may try and mount a comeback, but ultimately it will be too little, too late, and the Bills should win this one 32-28. Next game we have here is the number 6 New York Giants at the number 3 Minnesota Vikings. This matchup actually occurred in Week 16 a couple weeks ago, which required a 61-yard field goal at the buzzer by the Minnesota Vikings in order to come away with the win. But honestly, I don't believe this game will be as suspenseful. I think that the Vikings have something to prove here, and they're going to come out firing on all cylinders, whereas the Giants, I mean, Daniel Jones looks decent, but honestly, he's unproven in the postseason. And it'll be really interesting to see if he and Barkley can keep pace with the high-flying Minnesota offense, but I don't think they'll be able to. I see Minnesota winning. Whoa! I see Minnesota winning 37-24. Next game we have the number 6 Baltimore Ravens at the number 3 Cincinnati Bengals. Another divisional game here. They actually played literally last Sunday in a game that the Bengals won, and I expect to see the same result here. I don't know what else to say. The Ravens are going to be without Lamar Jackson, so that's just a killer, man. Their offense is pretty much stagnant without him, and yeah, discount Lamar just isn't the same. I see the Bengals winning here 23-10. Last but not least, we got the Monday game. The number 5 Dallas Cowboys at the number 4 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Whew. This game is a tough one. First off, you have the Dallas Cowboys, a real boomer bust team that has had amazing breakout games, followed by just inexplicable losses. I'm looking at you, Packers game, but last week they got blown out by a Washington Commanders team that had nothing to play for. But I mean, they still finish off the year with a 12-5 record, which is really good. So yeah, they're, like I said, they're pretty boom or bust. Meanwhile, on the other hand, you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who clinched their division actually in Week 17 against the Carolina Panthers, winning 30-24. The only problem there is that entire division is under 500. So yeah, that's a little unfortunate. They really haven't had any resounding wins this year. I mean, they won in Week 1 against these Cowboys, 19-3. That was their biggest win, probably their most confident win. But I mean, you see 21-15, 16-13, 21-16, 17-16, 19-16 in overtime, and 30-24. Those scores just really don't inspire confidence. But this is actually a game that a lot of people think the Buccaneers, including myself, think the Buccaneers will actually be able to win because of just how hit or miss the Cowboys are, and because everybody knows that TB does not stand for Tampa Bay. It stands for Tom Brady. I think he will carry them to the divisional round. I see Tampa Bay winning 20-17. Anyways, so if everything pans out the way I predicted, this is how the divisional round would look. We would have the Jaguars at the Chiefs, the Bengals at the Bills, finally. Hopefully, we pray that this game will not be postponed due to injury. That would be extremely unfortunate for the teams. But it really has the look of a great game. Then for the NFC, we have the Buccaneers at the Eagles and the Vikings at the 49ers. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you agree, disagree, or just want to put it out there to see if you can get it right. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the wildcard weekend and the rest of the playoffs. I'm going to try and do a Chargers-Jaguars watch party stream on Saturday night. So be sure to, keep your eye out for that. Anyways, until then, I hope you all have a great rest of your day and enjoy the playoffs.